Zeppelins. Yes, that is what we are talking about today. I'm going to be going over 10 brand new facts about Zeppelins and what they could mean for the gameplay for Battlefield 1. There's lots of implications here, and I cannot wait to dive into this one with you guys. Hey guys, what's up? It's Robbie with Battlefield HQ, and we're talking about all things Zeppelins. So we're going to start off with this fact. Germany was the first country in World War I to use Zeppelins as a weapon. In January of 1915, the first bombs were approved to drop over England, eventually making their way to London. Now, this is where the civilians were, so just imagine being a civilian and seeing one of these things. You would freak out. Now, the Zeppelins didn't cause mass casualties, but when they killed, they did end up killing the innocent civilians, and that is what caused mass panic. They were more of a psychological weapon and did keep armies up at nighttime, which affected their mental readiness in battle. But, you know, Zeppelins were primarily used for scouting. They would easily sight submarines, believe it or not. They also acted as guides for the Navy and could communicate via radio to ground or naval units. This means in Battlefield 1, they could act as some sort of UAV with limited radius. Of course, all of us know what a UAV is used for, and we've used them in games like Call of Duty, Battlefield 4. This is probably going to be World War I's UAV, but with an extremely limited radius. You're definitely going to want to try to shoot it down. They were kind of useless as bombers, but they were useful in some ways. For the Germans, they were able to spot naval mines and prevent British forces from encroaching on Germany's fleet. So they were a pain in the butt for the Allies. Now, Germany, they were the ones that were practically obsessed with the use of the Zeppelins. They had a fleet for both the Navy and the Army, which caused an internal competition. And competition is always a good thing. It advances things even further. So it was basically, may the best man win. And Zeppelins could usually outclass bombers in the fact that they can climb higher and use a larger payload. And it wasn't unusual for them to completely go unnoticed until the bombs actually dropped. Although they were fairly large, they were but a small object in the large infinite skies. Both the Allies and Germany made use of the Zeppelins, and get this, they also acted as transports for men and equipment. It's going to be interesting if they could possibly give supplies in Battlefield 1 to ground units, or maybe even buff ammo crates within a certain radius. Who knows? There's a lot they could do with the gameplay mechanics for Zeppelins, and the interesting thing is how you're going to actually get into a Zeppelin, if that's going to be actually a thing. It could be that you have to take over a command post, much like you have to do for the AC-130 in the previous Battlefield game. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that you probably have to take control of some sort of command post to obtain a Zeppelin. So these Zeppelins could turn the tide of war in Battlefield 1. Now, Zeppelins are not heavily armored vehicles. There were actually types of airships that were wooden, but they were not used as often as the aluminum airships. They can easily be shot down by ground fire, and that is going to be something about the Zeppelins. I think they're going to be very fragile in Battlefield 1, so you're going to want to keep them in spots where they will not get shot down. Or maybe Battlefield 1 will have a mechanic like the AC-130 where you do not have direct control of the Zeppelin. You're just controlling where to bomb, where to scout, and that sort of thing. Now, World War I was the mosh pit of thrown together technology, and that was true of the Zeppelin in many ways. Instead of dropping proper bombs early in the war, they dropped artillery shells, so everything was pretty much thrown together. They grabbed whatever they could and they just threw it down at their enemy. And Germany, they were primarily the ones that used them as bombers. Now, out on the seas, the British managed to counter the Zeppelins by fitting launching platforms for aeroplanes to their existing cruisers. This enabled them to shoot down some of the Zeppelins. So, my fellow pilots, expect to be engaging Zeppelins to prevent intel from getting to the enemy. That's one thing I do expect from Battlefield 1. You're gonna want to take them down. But who was the man behind the Zeppelin, you ask? Well, meet Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin, the inventor behind the behemoth airships. He started out developing balloons around the time of the Civil War, and eventually made his way to creating airships. He was absolutely addicted to getting in the skies. He died before World War I ended. So there you have it, 10 brand new facts about the Zeppelin during World War I. I am so curious to see how these things control in Battlefield 1. Will we have full control over them or not? Honestly, I expect that not to be the case. I think they're going to be kind of automated like the AC-130. I'd be very surprised if you're controlling them simply because they're such a slow-moving vehicle. And we'll see if they do act as UAVs or not. I'm sure they will. I'm just so certain of that you may be up there scouting, possibly marking enemies for anyone down on the ground and playing that support role. And if you love the support role, it sounds like the Zeppelin could be one of your go-to vehicles. But guys, stay tuned here to Battlefield HQ for more Battlefield 1 as we approach EA Play, which is going to be June 12th through the 14th. We should be seeing a ton more gameplay and trailers from it. Cannot wait for that one. Thanks guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the battlefield. See you there.